energy. The Colts are the world champions. Next out by Jim Marshall is running the wrong way. Franco Harris, Jerry Rice, touchdown 49ers.
Hi, I'm Steve Sable, and this program is about the most distinctive skill in the game of football, the ability to run with the ball. Now, take a group of men, any group of men, give them a goal, any goal to aim for, and each will have a different idea of how to get there. And so it is with pro football's running backs. Each one has a style as unique as his signature.
It's sort of like the snowflake effect, because each one is different, but yet and still, if you look at them from a distance, they all look the same. But then when you start to look closer, then you see that the designs and determination and their desires are totally different, and I think that's what makes it up.
All runners follow the same path, but the great ones leave different footprints. They are unique and come in all sizes, shapes, and styles.
The great runners attack the tackler. They come at him, challenge him right on, and then seem to make him miss, almost in the narrowest possible way, almost like a bullfighter, letting the bull go by in the narrowest margin. The great ones come at you, looks like they're going to take you right on and kind of widen their feet and then go right by you, and go by you so close that you can reach out and touch them, but you just can't.
The gifted runner creates space where there is none, turning snarled rush hour traffic into high-speed expressways.
When a guy runs a football, does he finish the run? I mean, does he get every single positive yard that he can out of the run?
Defenses try to intimidate running backs, and they do that by not only one guy hitting him, but they try to pile on and get him before he's down to the ground, or as he's going down and try to get the extra 2 or 3 hits on him. So the determination and the heart of a back for the 60-minute game, I think, is absolutely vital.
There's not too many running backs who, once they take a good shot, they keep coming back. And that's my mark of a good running back. Take their best and keep coming back for more.
Great runs result from either pure will and determination or transcendent physical talent. It is the difference between using a bludgeon or a magic wand.
The thing about the back, though, that if they can make, generally on long runs, they've had to make somebody miss, because everybody can't be blocked. In the open field, they have to have the ability to avoid a man and then run away from him, or simply make a guy miss.
He doesn't run 70 yards for a touchdown. He runs maybe 170 yards for a touchdown. Now he's got that great vision as he sees the field. The defense breaks down maybe in one area. Now he goes back against the grain, and it's that area against the defense's pursuit where the big home run is hit. The ability that they had was they were able not only to see, they were able to change direction. They were able on a dime to re-accelerate. See, it's the re-acceleration you are able to make a separation. And then once they make the separation, they're running north and south, and they're in the end zone.
My first year, and it was the last game of the year. We were playing the New Orleans Saints. I started out to my right, got mixed up. We went back to the left and went back to the right, and then I said, well, I got to start going forward.
The great runners want badly to run the football. They want the ball. They're angry when you don't give them the footballs. They all have different styles, and they use different ways to get there. But to me, it's in that psychological or intangible area.
The middle, here he goes, cuts to his right, going all the way.
The marriage of the great runner and the great run is the essence of pro football.
He's got 2 men to beat.
It turns heads, then pages in the record book.
Touchdown! Unbelievable! Tony Dorsett is in the record books. 99 yards.
It's Floyd Little of the Denver Broncos. Now, you'll never find his name on the NFL's list of all-time statistical greats. But Little will be remembered as a man who made the most out of things. You see, he excelled on a football team that really wasn't very good. And he did it with a body it looked like it belonged in Bronco busting rather than in the Bronco backfield.
With these distinctive legs, Floyd Little could always be identified without benefit of a game program.
I used to go to bed at night and wrap belts around my legs. I had belts around my thigh, belts around my knee, belts around my calves, so I could wake up one day and my legs would be straight. I hated being bow-legged.
Little may have scorned the gams God gave him, but his widened walk made defenders even more upset.
I think my balance was a lot different than guys who did not have that parenthesis in their legs. So if you look at some of the times I've been hit from the side and been knocked away, I was able to fall down and bounce up again. A lot of times it takes 2 arms to tackle a guy with bow legs. If you're running with a wide stance, you can't get both arms around my legs. And it helped in breaking a lot of tackles because a lot of times they've just tried to wrap both legs and they anticipated it to be a lot closer, only to find out it wasn't close. And with the arm strength I had, I was able to knock a lot of people down. So yeah, the bow legs had a tremendous lot to do with my balance and my strength as well, and my leg strength and my power.
In Floyd's first seasons with Denver, these little legs were the only legs that the struggling Broncos could stand on. Number 44 led the team in rushing 7 times, made the club respectable, and became king of the Mile High City. Little's popularity extended beyond the playing field. There was no charity he would turn down, no cause too small for his philanthropic efforts.
Floyd Little, take 3. Action.
Denver is my adopted town. I love it here. It's home. This is where I'm raising my family. This is where I go to school. This is where my roots are. And that's why I'm voting for Denver Water on November 6th. I know that without enough water, there will be fewer jobs and fewer job opportunities. You see, I work here myself. I'm Floyd Little.
No one in Denver was loved more than Little. But beneath his generous public spirit burned a scorching fire of rage that first surfaced when a battery of psychological tests was given by Broncos head coach John Ralston.
So he said, I just got your test results, and I'm really concerned about it. I said, well, what is it to be concerned about? He says, well, the test result says that you're a homicidal maniac. Do you know what that is? I said, no. He said, well, my God, I mean, you're probably the #1 guy in our whole organization, and we had no idea that this was your character, your posture. I said, well, what's a homicidal maniac? He said, a guy that could just kill without any feeling. I said, oh, yeah, I'm a homicidal maniac.
Perched atop those bow legs was the soul of a fierce competitor who would never back down from any fight.
I swung out for a swing pass. I was not even in the picture at all. And I was watching the ball in flight. And a linebacker came up and he hit me so hard, he knocked me back maybe 6 yards, and it was like head over heel, over heel, over heel. Busted my face mask, busted my mouth, busted my nose. I mean, he just really, really cold-cocked me. And I never did get a chance to get him because after the game was over, he sprinted to his locker room. You think these linebackers can't move. I mean, he ran to his locker room, and there he stayed, and I stayed out in front of his locker room with my uniform on, just waiting for him to come out. Finally, my teammates and the coaches came out and says, hey, we have to go. Our plane is waiting. We have to bus it back. Either you're going to stay here or you're going to get on the bus and go with us. I says, well, I'm staying here. I want him. I've never been hit like that before in my life. Yeah, damn, days I was so upset that I didn't get him, you know. And here it is, what, 10 years later, I'm still talking about it.
Little channeled this resentment into aggressive on-field performance. The perfect rebuttal to those who ever laughed at his bow legs or questioned his capabilities.
I've always been told as a youngster that I wasn't big enough, strong enough, fast enough, or smart enough. That's the anger. All the time you being told you can't has built up so much hostility in me because I'm out to prove to you in the world that I cannot be judged by somebody else's standards. I have to be judged by my own. And I think that angers me more than anything else in the world when you tell me I cannot. Then you got yourself something to reckon with because I can.
Now, Dorsett had the unique ability to shift directly from first to fifth gear. And this, I think, allowed him to hit the hole faster than anyone in pro football history.
In 4 years at the University of Pittsburgh, Tony Dorsett, as he was known back then, rushed for more yardage than any man in college football history. In 1976, he won the Heisman Trophy and led Pittsburgh to a national championship. And yet the list of luminaries who came to visit him on the University of Pittsburgh campus discovered he was undergoing an identity crisis.
Being Tony Dorsett, they started calling me TD for Tony D and for a touchdown. But you're...
Tony Dorsett? I thought it was Tony Dorsett.
Well, I've changed it to Tony Dorsett. You know, a few months back, I ran into this young man. He was calling my name. He was speaking to me as Tony Dorsett, and I liked it. And anyway, Dorsett is supposed to be a French name, and S-E-T-T spells set and not sit. So I think that is the correct pronunciation.
Fittingly, America's best ever collegiate running back was the top draft choice of America's team.
I told him that all the names came out that he wanted to be called Anthony Dorsett, and I said, well, when I won the Heisman Trophy, I wanted to be called Roger Staubach, but they didn't go along with that in the Navy. But he's been kidded a lot about certain things, but he's a fine, he's a fine guy, and he's a great athlete, so it's worked out very well so far, and once he starts gaining the yardage, it's going to work out a lot better.
As a rookie, he didn't break into the starting lineup until the 10th week of the season. Yet he still managed to establish an assortment of team rushing records with a style destined to make him the game's second all-time leading rusher.
A big play guy, the kind of guy that you'll get down in there, and then boom, 40 yards, 50 yards. He kind of slips and slides, and then when he sees it, he's gone. He's got that kind of acceleration. Surprisingly enough, he's a better north-south runner than he is east-west runner. He has great feel and recognition when he heads into the line as an inside runner. But you don't think about him being an inside runner because he only weighs 190 pounds. But it's his great acceleration and speed that makes him what he is today.
I've got a real unique view of him as a running back. I mean, a literal view from the football field that not many people get to see. I see him hitting the holes, and I see the holes opening and closing, and I see the kind of adjustments he makes. I might be able to make the same adjustment mentally. To do it physically and to be able to combine the two is a tremendous gift, and Tony's got that.
Blessed with all the physical tools, Tony Dorsett still feels the secret of his success is not his foot speed or his agile open field moves. To Dorsett, success begins with the primary senses, without which all the training and coaching in the world are pointless.
If you ever watch me play, you'll see when I get a ball, my eyes, they light up like silver dollars. And I'm just looking at everything, and I do see a lot out there. Running a football is instinctive. It's all creative, it's all impromptu, and things are happening very, very quick. And my vision helped me, I think, survive in the NFL.
Yet, some have questioned where Dorsett's vision leads him.
The line on him is the fact that somewhat the same line they had on Franco Harris for so long, is that when he got close to the sideline, he'd run out of bounds.
I think that's kind of a bad rap because Tony is a powerful runner, and he knows when to take a shot and when not to. Now, he's not the kind of runner that's going to run over anybody, really, but he breaks a lot of tackles.
We've hit him, I think, about as hard as you can hit him, and he keeps coming back. You know, he keeps saying, well, some guys, well, we're going to knock these guys out of there, but hey, you can't knock him out. He's going to come back the next play and may beat you on the very next play. His history against us has been, you stop him, you stop him, you stop him, you stop him, and boom, he's gone for 40 or 50.
I'm not a bulldog type of runner. I didn't come into this business being a bulldog type of runner. I'm a runner that you, your grandmother, or someone else could probably enjoy watching because it's something exciting that's possible to happen at any time on the field. The things that I do, the God-given talents that I have, I think people kind of take them for granted. You know, people kind of say, well, that's just Dorsett, you know, that's just his way of doing things. And I think probably over the years, I've just been taken for granted.
An interesting observation from a man who often leaves entire teams of tacklers floundering in his wake. But when it was 1st and 99, the Cowboys always knew they were in scoring position.
Goal line defense for the Vikings. A handoff, Dorsett up the middle. Here he goes. Cuts to his right. Going all the way. To the 30. To the 40. He's got two men to beat. To the 40. To the 30. To the 20. To the 10. The 5. Touchdown! Unbelievable! Tony Dorsett is in the record books. 99 yards.
There's a certain magic surrounding Texas Stadium. For 11 seasons, the man who basked in its spotlight was Tony Dorsett.
When you look back on it and see Tony Dorsett's name at the top of every running list that was ever compiled, you'll realize how great a running back he really was.
To see how he runs is to know that Tony Dorsett is truly one of the greatest running backs ever to play pro football.
It was Leroy Kelly who escaped the concrete jungles of Philadelphia for the green fields of the NFL and became one of the top rushers in pro football history.
In the mid-'60s, the Cleveland Browns appeared to strengthen their kick returning when head coach Blanton Collier selected Leroy Kelly in the NFL draft.
It's a funny story about Leroy Kelly. In '64, he came in as a 7th-round draft choice, I think, from Morgan State, and he's supposed to be able to run a 9.4, 9.500, and no one could understand why he wasn't doing this in exhibition season. He didn't tell anybody. He had 2 pulled hamstrings. And when they got corrected, I think the first time he felt good, that year he became a great punt returner.
Kelly may have kept quiet about his injuries, but his special team heroics were hardly a secret. In 1964, he averaged an astonishing 19 yards per return as the Browns rolled to the NFL championship. A year later, Kelly led the league in punt returns. But despite his obvious talent, there was simply no chance he would ever crack the starting lineup. Kelly was doomed to ride the bench because the man ahead of him on the depth chart happened to be the greatest running back of all time, the legendary Jim Brown. But in 1966, Brown shocked the football world when he announced his retirement. Leroy Kelly's time had finally come.
When Jim Brown decided to stay in Europe and make a movie instead of coming back to training camp, I talked to Doug Jones, who was backfield coach and a very prominent player with the Browns in the early part of the team, and said, "Aren't you really worried about the offense this year?" And he said, "No." He said, "Leroy Kelly is going to be a great back in this league," and it turned out he was. He gained over 1,000 yards that year.
I was pleased to get the opportunity to play, and it was fortunate for me that Jim retired, you know, at an early age in his life, and it gave me the opportunity, and I didn't feel that much pressure. I just felt I was capable of doing the job, and I did it.
Kelly proceeded to lead the ground-oriented Browns in rushing for the next 7 years. He averaged nearly 5 yards per carry, scored 60 touchdowns, and rushed for over 7,000 career yards.
Leroy was the type of running back that he had the speed and the agility to fake you out and make you look awful bad, but he also had the power to run you over. So coming up from a defensive back standpoint, he was really a tough runner because you couldn't afford to get into him real hard because he would fake you out. So you kind of had to take a lot of the blows. I think he meant a lot to that Cleveland Brown team at the time. We knew when we played him he was going to carry the ball 25, 30 times a game. And we just tried to keep him from having any long runs because he would automatically get 100 yards a game if you didn't really control it.
I think the thing that Leroy had as a player was his ability to hit a hole extremely quick, probably as quick as any running back that I can remember. He could get out of his stance real quick, hit the hole so fast that he was hitting the hole as it was opening. He might have only had a foot of daylight, but as he went into it, the hole opened wider and he would pop through those things, and he had the quickness and the speed to run away from people once he got into the secondary.
I wanted the ball. I think most backs want to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game. And I think I did a lot of things well, catching the ball, blocking, and running, you know. And occasionally I threw the pass for a touchdown, too.
There was nothing that Leroy Kelly could not accomplish on the football field. Where Kelly fell short was in the ability to brag about himself.
Leroy Kelly was a quiet man who just did his job, and I don't think he's received enough notoriety as one of the all-time great runners.
He was just a quiet person. He was never said very much in the huddle, but you could tell when you got in the huddle, it's just like he would never say it, you know, I want the ball and I'm going to do something with it.
Although some fans today may not remember Kelly's talents, Leroy's opponents have much clearer memories.
Back in the days of the great Cleveland Brown teams, it was just pleasure to play against people like that with great talent. Use your skills against their skills. But I really admired Leroy Kelly and his ability to run with the football.
Today, the still modest Kelly is more willing to speak of his achievements.
I think that statistically, you know, I feel that I should be in the Hall of Fame, and it's just a matter of time. Whoever does the voting, it's just a matter of time.
Leroy Kelly, a quiet man who replaced a legend, and in so doing, became a legend himself.